Okay, so think about your morning coffee. You probably drink it every day, right? Maybe without a second thought. It's just there, a ritual, a habit, maybe a total necessity to get going. But what if that daily cup is actually, well, a kind of key? A surprising lens to view centuries of human connection, huge societal shifts, and maybe even the fabric of our culture itself. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing more than just talking about a beverage. We're digging in, doing a bit of social detective work. We want to uncover the hidden stuff, the dynamics behind coffee's journey, from the bean fields to your local barista, and how this global thing has really shaped art, literature, politics, social life, pretty much everything across the globe.
Yeah, that's exactly the question, isn't it? What are these deep social patterns, these cultural norms that we just gloss over when something's as common, as ubiquitous as coffee? It's really about challenging our own assumptions, seeing how our identities or communities are shaped not just by the big historical events, but by something as, well, everyday as the coffee we drink.
And it's true when you look around today. I mean, whether you're making a quick instant coffee at home, grabbing a latte from some big chain, Shioati, or maybe you're into that fancy pour-over at a local cafe. Coffee culture really does mirror our current social vibe. It says a lot about our communities, generational stuff, even just what we individually like. And this whole modern picture, it really sets the stage for looking back, doesn't it? For this rich historical journey into coffee's deeper meaning. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Our journey into coffee's cultural roots often kicks off with this whisper of legend, a story you hear a lot. Picture the misty highlands of Ethiopia and the main character, a goat herder named Kaldi. Now, the story, it's probably not strictly true, but it works perfectly right. Kaldi supposedly sees his goats getting super energetic, like dancing around, after eating these bright red berries, so he gets curious, tries them himself, and boom, feels that same mysterious, almost magical energy boost. Whether it happened exactly like that or not, it captures that kind of mystical feeling coffee had right from the start.
And what's really interesting is that the actual historical evidence kind of lines up with that accidental discovery idea. The earliest confirmed coffee use, back in 9th century Ethiopia, it wasn't about brewing a drink at all. No, they actually mixed the beans with animal fat, made these dense energy balls.
Sort of like ancient power bars. Yeah.
Yeah.
For warriors, travelers. It was only much, much later that people figured out roasting and brewing those beans could unlock, the flavor and the kick we know today.
Right, so it starts as food, basically. Then from those Ethiopian highlands, the coffee bean starts this really crucial journey. It gets carried along old trade routes, eventually making its way to the Arabian Peninsula. And that's where things really shift, where it goes from just energy food to a social game changer. Absolutely. By the 15th century, coffee is really established in Yemen. It becomes deeply woven into Islamic culture. And this is where the real social revolution happens. The first coffee houses, kahve khane, they called them, popped up in Mecca. The key thing here is they weren't just shops. They quickly turned into these buzzing centers for social life, for intellectual exchange, a totally new kind of public space. Unlike, say, taverns back then, these were sober environments, perfect for deep chats, philosophy, politics. It shows how a specific setting, non-alcoholic, can really foster intellectual growth and maybe even early democratic thinking. They got super popular with scholars, merchants, even political figures, a whole new forum.
Okay, so now imagine this new kind of exotic drink arriving in Europe, 17th century. And it wasn't exactly a smooth landing everywhere. You had real excitement, sure, but also, surprisingly, a lot of suspicion, deep suspicion. The Catholic Church, for example, was pretty alarmed at first, called it a Muslim drink. They even seriously thought about banning it completely. It really shows how cultural biases, even religious ones, can shape how we react to new things, right?
Yeah.
Even a simple drink.
Oh, it definitely. That suspicion really highlights how cultures, adopt or resist new stuff. Pope Clement VIII's role here was massive. It became a real turning point. The story, maybe embellished a bit, is that he decided, okay, I'll try this stuff myself. And after tasting it, he apparently declared it totally fine for Christians. Some stories even say he jokingly baptized it, whatever the exact details. That decision basically gave it the green light across Europe, changed everything for coffee's future there.
Once it got that papal thumbs up, coffee houses just exploded across the continent. Venice, 1647, often gets cited as the first in Europe. And then boom, London, Paris, Vienna. They spread like wildfire. You get these iconic places like Café Procope in Paris becoming legendary hangouts for thinkers, for revolutionaries. It's just fascinating how fast a social trend can catch on once those initial barriers fall away.
And what's really profound, I think, is their role in the Enlightenment. These places created a completely new kind of public arena, very different from the rigid social hierarchies of the time. You had people from different classes actually mingling, sharing ideas freely, having lively debates. I mean, that was revolutionary stuff back then. The coffee house became this symbol of the emerging public sphere of democratic ideals. They weren't just about coffee. They were like incubators for new ideas. Voltaire, Rousseau, these giants were meeting there, shaping the thoughts that would reshape Europe.
Okay, moving forward a bit in time. It's maybe easy to forget coffee's impact on the Industrial Revolution. It was significant, but kind of quiet. Its stimulant effect was absolutely key. And it's not just about staying awake. It shows how a small physiological effect, when you multiply it across thousands, millions of workers, becomes this like hidden engine driving industrial pace and demands. It fundamentally changed work culture, productivity. Think about the coffee break that became a structured thing, boosting efficiency.
Right. And as demand shot up, coffee farming spread globally, especially to the Americas. This totally reshaped the industry. The Dutch were big players, bringing it to Java in the 17th century. The French took it to the Caribbean. By the 1800s, Brazil became the world's top coffee producer. Still is, actually. But, and this is really crucial, we have to talk about the darker side of this expansion. The growth of coffee farming was deeply, intrinsically tied to colonialism, to the exploitation of enslaved people on a massive scale. This isn't just some historical detail, it's the foundation the whole global coffee industry was built on. It's a history that forces us, even today, to think critically about justice and equity in the supply chain.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's jump to the 20th century. A really big shift happens with instant coffee. Companies like Nescafe really push this. Makes coffee super accessible, super convenient for everyone. But while it definitely democratized coffee, brought it into almost every kitchen, it also, maybe unintentionally, led to a bit of a decline in quality perception. Things became more standardized, mass-produced. The focus shifted maybe from the whole experience to just getting that caffeine hit.
Exactly. And that standardized, convenience-focused approach eventually created a sort of backlash, a hunger for something more authentic, higher quality. That's where the coffee shop renaissance kicks in, starting around the 70s and 80s, driven by pioneers like Starbucks, Peet's Coffee. What's fascinating was a conscious move back towards coffee's social, cultural roots, reintroducing people, especially Americans, to better coffee and to that coffee house experience, borrowing heavily from those European traditions we talked about. It was like rejecting the generic for something more communal, more experiential.
Right. And that appreciation for quality just kept growing, didn't it? The third wave coffee movement, really taking off in the 2000s, took it even further. This is way beyond just a good cup. It's about the whole journey. Meticulous sourcing, specific roasting profiles, fancy brewing methods, even how it's presented. It's basically treating coffee like an artisanal product, like fine wine or craft beer, elevating it.
Totally. And a key part of this third wave is how the barista's role changed. They're not just servers anymore. They've become genuine coffee professionals.
Oh, yeah.
Combining technical skill, artistry, crafting these really complex drinks. We're seeing this whole professionalization happening, barista competitions, special training. It's a great example of how a service role can evolve into a real craft, building a deeper cultural appreciation for something we consume every day.
And beyond the cup itself, coffee's just seeped into our culture, into human expression. Think about its influence on art, on literature over centuries. Coffee houses, they're the backdrop for countless novels, plays, films, those bohemian cafes in Paris, bustling New York coffee shops. And coffee itself, just the act of making it, drinking it. It's inspired poetry, paintings, music. It's like a constant muse.
Which brings up a really fundamental question. Why coffee? Why does it have this enduring power as a social hub? I think at its core, it provides this neutral, non-alcoholic space for interaction. It works for everything, doesn't it? Quiet family time, important business meetings, just chatting with friends. It's open to pretty much everyone, all ages, backgrounds. It's this universal meeting ground, a really powerful connector. It creates this comfortable shared space where different people can just be together.
And the money side, let's not forget the sheer economic power of coffee. It's honestly staggering. It is, believe it or not, the second most traded commodity globally, right after oil. It employs millions and millions of people worldwide, farming, processing, selling, generates hundreds of billions of dollars every year. For many developing nations, coffee is absolutely vital to their economies, huge impact on livelihoods.
Yeah, but that massive scale brings huge responsibilities, which leads us straight into the big environmental and social justice issues in the industry. Coffee farming can be really damaging, deforestation, water pollution, soil degrading. But thankfully, there's a strong growing movement towards better practices. Shade-grown coffee, organic farming, trying to balance things ecologically. And then there's the fair trade movement, pushing for fair prices, decent working conditions for farmers. This all reflects, I think, a growing awareness among consumers, right? A shift towards wanting to buy ethically, pushing the industry to be more transparent, more accountable. And this connects directly to coffee's role in how our cities develop in urban planning. Coffee shops often become these crucial neighborhood anchors. They foster community spirit. They're perfect examples of that third place idea, not home, not work, but somewhere else you gather and connect. These places are vital not just economically, but for the social health of communities, that sense of belonging, informal chats.
So looking ahead, what's next for coffee culture? There's some really interesting trends shaping its future. We're definitely seeing specialty coffee, artisanal brewing, just keep growing in popularity. That quest for quality and craft isn't slowing down. And tied to that, there's this big boom in the home brewing, people getting serious gear, wanting to master the ritual themselves, even tech's playing a bigger part, smart coffee makers, apps. And remember during the pandemic, virtual coffee meetings became a thing. Shows how coffee culture just adapts.
It does adapt. And thinking about globalization, it's kind of pulling in two directions, isn't it? On one hand, it means we get this amazing appreciation for different regional flavors, knowing your Sumatran from your Ethiopian bean, that kind of global knowledge. But on the other hand, you've got the massive global chains potentially leading to, well, homogenization, flattening things out, which could threaten unique local coffee traditions and identities. It's a real tension. How do we keep global reach but also protect that rich cultural diversity? And finally, we can't ignore the ongoing conversation about coffee and health. The benefits versus worries about caffeine dependency, the science keeps evolving. And critically, climate change. This is huge for coffee. Rising temperatures, weird rainfall patterns, they pose a massive threat to coffee growing worldwide. So developing climate-resilient beans, sustainable farming, it's not just nice to have, it's essential for the industry's survival.
Yeah. And if we step back, put on our cultural anthropologist hats again, it's just so clear how coffee means different things in different places. Sometimes just fuel, sometimes this deep social ritual that tells us so much about broader human values, about how societies work. One simple plant revealing so much about us. So wow, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From those maybe mythical Ethiopian goats to the global coffee scene today. Coffee's journey from just a bean to this massive cultural force is, well, it's pretty remarkable. It really underscores its unique power to bring people together, create meaningful moments, act as this constant catalyst for connection and cultural exchange across time, across continents.
Absolutely. And this whole deep dive into coffee culture, it really makes you think about how these seemingly simple everyday rituals shape who we are, how our communities function, often in ways we don't even notice. So maybe the question to leave you with is, what other hidden social dynamics might you be missing in your own life? Perhaps in things just as commonplace. The food you eat, the clothes you choose, even how you use your phone every day, what's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, something to think about. We definitely invite you to keep observing your own world with maybe a new, deeper cultural awareness. Until next time, keep digging deeper into the fascinating world around you.